Hey guys, hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to another one here on the channel. In this video, we're doing our second video where we are looking at lithium ion performance. Now, the details we are diving into in this particular video is all around the idea of performance as it relates to a lithium ion pack that is built using soldering to connect cells to other cells, or using the welding technique. Now, when we say welding, we are talking about spot welding, and I do use a K-weld welder in order to get the job done. Now, when it comes to the materials that we are using for these packs, when I am soldering the cells together, I am using a 1mm by 5mm copper bar. And when I am welding the pack together, I am using a 0.3 by 8mm piece of copper on the bottom layer, immediately touching the battery. And on top of that layer, so I can properly weld, I am using a pure nickel at 0.2mm as well. So in total, we got 0.4mm of material, where our copper is the bottom 0.2mm. Why we do that is so that we can get proper penetration with the weld to build heat in that nickel, and that fires the copper down into the cell so that we get a piece of molten copper to melt on the cell and create that spot weld that we need. Now, when I was welding the cells together, I have an example here in front of me. I was using about 1350 amps of power to get the proper welds there. Now, when I'm looking at the battery here that I've welded, I've already done a pull test just to make certain that the welds that I was doing did work, and my test did prove successful. And how I know that is because when I pulled the material apart, the weld stayed intact and the material sheared around that slug of weld. That's how I know that the weld was performed at the best that I could get from this particular configuration. Now that we have those details under control, let's jump into what we see here. Now, what I'm using here, the radiocontrolinfo.com RCexplained calc sheet, and you can download a copy of this for yourself if you are a member of the Insights tier on the site. Now, I do have, for those who are already members and guests as well, new calculators that are going to be dropping within the next week, so pay attention to the dashboard. If you are a member, you're going to see that link populated very soon. So let's jump into what we have here, and that is the lithium polymer calculations. You can see on the right hand side of this, I have tons of those batteries that we've tested and compared against here this month. I think this is probably the most popular month for batteries that we have done and tested here on the channel, and you're going to see each one of these batteries a new row created if you are a member of the battery benchmark squadron. Now let's take a look at our Tenpower 50xg 5 amp hour welded cells. Here we have the internal resistance on average per cell to be 7, and on the top you can see the formula I use because the 4 cells measure anywhere from 6.9 to 7.1, averaging at that 7 mark. If I click the 7.31, it looks like I don't have the individual cells, but the average of them averaged out to 7.31. So now, one of the questions that came up in the previous video is if I'm soldering the cells, I'm placing tons of heat in them. Again, I don't recommend you solder these packs. If you do, that didn't come from me. Soldering does have lots of risk associated with that type of process to build a battery pack. But the idea was putting all this heat inside of the cell could hurt the internal resistance. So you might think that is exactly what happened here at 7.31 milliohms versus the 7 milliohms of resistance that we got using the same method we use for all of our lithium polymer packs. And if we go and place this into the C rating calculator, again, this is set up for lithium polymer packs where it's pouch packs, not necessarily the cylindrical cells that we see with this particular lithium ion cells. And this is the 21700 size that we are using here from Tenpower. So I place in the capacity 5,000. We're going to start with the old 7.31. This is the soldered cells that we had. And the soldered cells at 7.31 show us a 13.1 C rate and the maximum continuous current being 65 amps. Now keep in mind, this is a pouch cell, this is the idea, and that pouch cell has a lot of surface area to get rid of that waste heat, where these cylindrical cells do not have that surface area. So it's going to be lower here, and I recognize and understand that. When we go and change the When we go and change that internal resistance from 731 down to 700, we can see that we go from 65 amps to 67 amps. The difference between the 7.00 and the 7.31 is almost negligible when we're talking about that much difference between each one of those cells. So now that we know that our values here show us that we should be able to deliver somewhere around 65 amps continuous, this we know is not conservative at all. It's actually out the opposite side of the spectrum. We can guarantee that these cells are going to get really hot quite quickly, and that's exactly what they did. Let's jump into the graph that we have here of the discharge. I have both of these discharges right up so that we can take a look at both at the same time, and then we're going to jump into the metrics that we extrapolated from our data. And here we have our first graph. This does show the voltage on the top there, blue and gray, and we have current there in red and orange. So we're going to go through this a little bit more detail. This is the Tenpower 21750XG 5000 soldered versus welded. Now what I can tell you is the soldered values that you see here on the graph are both the curves that are at the top. So in the case of our voltage curve here at the top, this is going to use the scale on the right hand side, and you can see the blue graph here, the blue line that goes through here is a little bit higher than the gray that we have. So we have more of a voltage drop there with that battery pack that is using the welded connection points, the welded bus bars. So then when we look at the current, I have a little bit more details here breaking out differences. That small amount of voltage drop did contribute to this difference in current. We can see right at the beginning, it holds a pretty significant difference in current. Remember that this graph is showing us between 95 amps and 80 amps. So this is zoomed in. Our typical graph is not this zoomed in. And because it's zoomed in, we can see that there's a bunch of noise here in our measurements. I'm looking to get rid of noise. I got new equipment to do the tests here coming, but it's going to take quite a while because it's coming probably from overseas. First measurements here that I call out, 93.1 amps and 91.6. We can see that's about an amp and a half difference between both of those curves. And if you look between all of these measurements, it's about an amp and a half difference that we're seeing. So when we look at the difference of the soldered pack versus the welded pack, our soldered pack looks like it is maintaining better voltage, and because of that better voltage, we're getting a higher amount of current, and the difference between getting more voltage and more current is going to result in more power delivered to whatever application you are using these cells in. I really hope that I'm able to build a pack here in the next week and use that in a radio controlled airplane to then get actual information as to what's happening when we use these packs in an airplane. And I'm most curious as to what happens with the temperature of these packs, because at the end of this 59 seconds here for the soldered pack and roughly 56 seconds, both of these packs were right up at that 70 something degrees Celsius, and the absolute cutoff is 75 degrees Celsius, where you must shut that pack down because the temperature should never push above that 75 Celsius mark. Now, typical lithium polymer battery packs, those are maxed out at around 60. So do note that it's different here with the lithium ion. The spec sheet does say 75 degrees, higher than what we're used to. Let's take a look now at the performance data when we look at each element here for our 105 amp load test. Also note that when we look at our load test, because we have such a significant voltage drop because of that internal resistance, our 105 amp load test is no longer 105 amps. It actually drops down almost at that 85 amp mark on average, probably around averaging that 87 to 85 amp mark. So now going back, let's take a look at all the elements there. When we're taking a look at these graphs, the blue bars are represented our welded pack configuration, and the gold bars are representing our soldered pack configuration. When we look at our total milliamp hour for the pack, we deliver 1433 on our soldered pack versus 1356 on the welded. Energy per cell at 284 versus 266. Average cell wattage was about 288.5 versus 281.4 there for our welded pack. Voltage at that 10-second mark. This was interesting to see 3.39 volts on our soldered pack, but 3.28 volts, which is technically under under that voltage cutoff that we typically use. So at the 10-second mark, that voltage cutoff would have tripped here on our welded pack. And the reason is because on our typical test for a lithium polymer pack, we do have a voltage cutoff threshold and a temperature threshold. In this case, we ignored the voltage cutoff threshold and only went by temperature in order to compare the data between both of these configurations. Looking at the bottom row, not much information here because the packs really couldn't hold up much voltage beyond that 3.5 volt mark. At 3.5, we do see 15 milliamp hour versus 17. The time there is 0.8. It's actually identical here. We have identical time to 3.6, and then the milliamp hour is quite significantly different. But again, this is negligible in difference. And the reason why the time is the same, but the milliamp hour is different is because the the solder pack is pulling more amps at that particular moment than the welded pack configuration. So this kind of performance is very interesting. If you do look at the top here in the chart, you can see that for the values, all of these values are either 0 or a negative value. What this tells us is that the solder pack, just like all the graphs that we see, is more dominant when it comes to power and performance in every single category here versus our welded pack. Now the big question is, does it make sense to weld a pack versus solder when you're dealing with this kind of amp load? And that really ultimately depends on your application. For me, I like to see the utmost power that I can possibly get out of a particular pack. It's really difficult for this to rest with me when I see that the pack is not going to be performing as best as I can. For that reason alone, I personally would prefer to solder my pack configuration together, but do note that it takes an extreme amount of caution and it's highly not recommended by everyone out there to do so. So that is the big key there. Now, when it comes to welding a pack, this is absolutely possible, especially with using a nickel copper sandwich. If I could step up my welding configuration so I can get more copper in there, like a 0.3 millimeter copper piece, that would obviously contribute to less voltage drop than what we even see here. So I definitely see a welded pack configuration as doing pretty well in the performance department. Now, the ultimate thing, if you are using this for a radio controlled vehicle, one of the biggest things I see is that your voltage cutoff is going to have to be modified. It's not going to be easy for you to run lithium polymer packs and then lithium ion packs in the same radio controlled vehicle using the same configuration and programming. What I would recommend is to have completely independent programs that you run, one voltage cutoff for the one battery type and another voltage cutoff for the other battery type. In fact, what I would do is significantly lower it here on our lithium ion. These are the details that I'm going to be diving into when I get more into the practical application side of lithium ion testing. So that does it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed looking at the power and performance that we get out of it, and I can't wait to see what else that we get out of these lithium ion cells. Like the video if you do. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you can make sure that you see more of what we're doing here. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.